listeners, and welcome to yet another episode of the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast with me, your host, Olu Oke. Today's episode 84, and boy, do we have another bumper episode in store for your listening pleasure. We're going to be touching on how the Nigerian players performed all over Europe, including goals for Osimhen, Success, and Victor Boniface, and good performances from the likes of Chukwueze, which we'll be getting into. So without any further ado, starting with the Premier League as usual, we saw Ola in action for Nottingham Forest, and Taiwo Awoniyi finally made his return from injury, coming on as a late substitute in Nottingham Forest's 3-1 win over Sheffield United on Saturday. It must be said again, Ola just looks different gravy. Like, he should not be playing for Nottingham Forest, but regardless, I'm sure he'll remain in the Premier League, so that's one to watch. Also, good to see Taiwo Awoniyi back in action, and I'm intrigued to see if he would start in place of Chris Wood, considering how Chris Wood's been struggling in the last few games in their next game when they play Chelsea at home on Saturday. Also, it's been confirmed that Nottingham Forest failed in their points deduction appeal, so they will remain with a points deduction of -4 points. It's not the end of the world because they're still about 3 points ahead of Luton. And if they win one of their final 2 games, they should be safe and sound in the Premier League. So it's looking good for Nottingham Forest, it must be said. And it's looking increasingly likely that all 3 promoted teams will be going back down to the Championship. Moving on to Alex Iwobi and Fulham, it must be said, I think Fulham are on holiday. There's a video today of the players flying kites, Willian and Raul Jimenez and Andres Pereira. But they did not lose their last game. They drew 0-0 to Brentford on Saturday. Alex Iwobi started the whole game, but he was taken off in the 93rd minute, so not sure if he was injured or he was just, exhausted at the end of the game. Calvin Bassey played the whole game as well, but he did get a yellow card, but he got a clean sheet, so that's good to see. One thing to mention also, I know I don't really cover him, but he is eligible for Nigeria. Tosin Adarabioyo is out of contract in the summer. It looks like there's a lot of interest from AC Milan, Newcastle, and I think Chelsea. So let's see where he ends up going to and if he indeed decides to play for Nigeria or not. I don't know what he's waiting for, but anyway, Fulham's next game, as an Arsenal fan, I'm hoping they could do Arsenal a favour. They play Manchester City at home on Saturday. But as I said, with them looking like they're on holiday, it's very, very, very unlikely. Moving on to Frank Onyeka, he finally played a few minutes. He did come on for the final 8 minutes of that 0-0 draw against Fulham. Let's see if he gets some more minutes when they play Bournemouth away on Saturday. And finally, from our Prem contingent, Gabriel Osho played 90 minutes. That's how you know Arsenal's always in my mind. Why do I keep calling him Gabriel Osho like he's a Brazilian centre-back? Gabriel Osho played 90 minutes and Friend Oyedima played 71 minutes as Luton were held to a 1-1 draw against Everton on Friday. As I said, it's not looking good for Luton. If they want to have any chance of remaining in the Prem, they need to beat West Ham away on Saturday. Yes, we know West Ham. It's not looking good for West Ham. They lost heavily yet again to Chelsea. West Ham have announced that David Moyes is leaving as coach at the end of the season, and Julian Lopetegui has been confirmed as the new manager. So I wouldn't blame the West Ham players if they act like they're on holiday. So that's one to watch out for and look out for. But let's see what happens when Luton play West Ham on Saturday. The other Premier League games that happened over the weekend, we saw Arsenal beat Bournemouth 3-0. Really, really good performance for Arsenal. Yes, a few decisions were a bit dodgy from the ref, but let's be honest, it was a convincing win on that front. Newcastle beat Burnley 4-1 away. Alexander Isak looks like such a good player. Mamma mia, man. I want him at the Emirates, I'm not going to lie. If it's not him or Osimhen, I'm not sure if I want whoever striker it could be. And then also Man City beat Wolves. They put Wolves to the sword, to be honest, 5-1. Erling Haaland scored 4 goals and he just looked incredible. As I said earlier, Chelsea beat West Ham 5-0. Really, really good performance from Chelsea. They look like they might be able to sneak into European place this season with how they're ending the season strongly. On the other hand, Aston Villa lost 1-0 to Brighton at the Amex Stadium. So Aston Villa need to just be careful to not lose that 4th spot. However, they're very unlikely to lose the 4th spot because Tottenham have lost 4 games in a row for the first time in well over 20 years or 30 years. Tottenham look absolutely shit. So, I mean, they were losing 4-0 to Liverpool and scored 2 consolation goals to make the scoreline respectable. But make no mistake about it, they got absolutely thrashed. And then finally, yesterday, Monday Night Football, Crystal Palace beat Man United 4-0. If you're a Man United fan and you listen to this podcast, let me just say, Ekpele, there's nothing else I can say because you guys are absolutely rubbish. You're a 2-pack of shit. It's so bad. But I know you're playing Arsenal next, and there's something about Old Trafford that happens. So let me not get too cocky. Anyway, next fixtures to look out for in the Prem. Fulham host Man City at Craven Cottage in the early kickoff on Saturday. And then we have about 3 p.m. kickoffs. Everton host Sheffield United at Goodison Park. West Ham host Luton at the London Stadium. Bournemouth host Brentford at the Vitality Stadium. Wolves host Crystal Palace at Molineux. Tottenham host Burnley at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And Newcastle host Brighton at St James's Park. The 5:30 p.m. kickoff on Saturday will be Nottingham Forest hosting Chelsea. So that should be a cracker of a game. And then on Sunday, we have the blockbuster. Manchester United versus Arsenal, 4:30 p.m. kickoff. Arsenal need to win to remain in the title race. And Man United really need to get some points if they want to at least make it to the Europa League, because it's not looking very good. And then Monday Night Football, we've got a cracker, Aston Villa versus Liverpool, which will be Klopp's final away game for Liverpool and Unai Emery's last home game for this season as Everton bid to clinch that final Champions League spot for the Premier League. Moving on to the Championship, it was the final round of games before the playoffs. So Wilfred Ndidi started and Kelechi Iheanacho played 12 minutes as Leicester lost 2-0 to Blackburn on Saturday, but it didn't matter. They're already confirmed champions, so it was just a procession. So we'll see them in the Premier League, although Leicester will be starting with the points deduction after they were found guilty of breaching financial fair play rules last season in the Premier League. Joe Aribo played 90 minutes for Southampton in their 2-1 victory over Leeds United, and we will be seeing Southampton in the Championship playoffs. They play West Bromwich away in the playoff semi-final first leg on Sunday. Speaking of West Brom, Semi Ajayi was benched and Josh Maja only played 5 minutes as West Brom beat Preston 3-0. So Southampton finished 4th, West Brom finished 5th, so that's why they're playing each other in the Championship playoff semi-finals. So let's see if Semi Ajayi could get some minutes and if Josh Maja can also get some minutes in that game against Southampton. And then finally, the Watford boys, Emmanuel Dennis and Tom Dele-Bashiru were not in Watford's squad as they lost 3-0 to Middlesbrough on Saturday. Emmanuel Dennis go back to his club in, is it Trabzonspor? Anyway, he's going back to Turkey. And then we'll see what happens with Tom Dele-Bashiru, but I won't be surprised if Emmanuel Dennis comes back for one more season with Watford. And Jamilu Collins is also injured for the moment, but let's see if he recovers in time to go to the World Cup qualifiers, simply because Zedu Sanusi is injured. So when we look at our left back depth chart, Onyemachi will get called up. Sanusi is injured, so it's likely that Jamilu Collins will be called up as the backup left back. So let's see. Moving on, Serie A, Victor Osimhen scored his 15th league goal of the season for Napoli. He was taken off at 88th minute though, after suffering a slight knock as Napoli drew 1-1 against Udinese. This was a cracking game for Nigerian fans, man. Maduka Okoye was in goal, so Victor Osimhen scored a great header against Maduka Okoye. And guess who scored the equalizer for Udinese? Isaac Success came off the bench in the 53rd minute to score his first goal of the season, which was a late equalizer and save a point for Udinese as they tried to stave off relegation. For Victor Osimhen, his next game is against Bologna at home on Saturday, and I'm 99% sure he will be off in the summer. At the moment, Fabrizio Romano keeps linking him to Chelsea and PSG, so those look like the most likely places he will go to. And for the Udinese boys, I'm sure Maduka Okoye would stay at Udinese. I hope he does not return to Watford, because for you to be starting in Serie A, you want to keep your place. And then let's see what happens with Isaac Success. But Udinese's next game is Lecce away next week, Monday. Moving on to AC Milan, and Samuel Chukwueze started and got an assist. He actually played really, really well in this game. I think he might have been involved in another one of the goals, but AC Milan drew 3-3 against Genoa on Sunday. Cracking game. AC Milan are second. They can't really be caught. So you can understand why they've taken their foot off the gas a little bit. I mean, when we look at the Serie A table, there's literally just 3 games left. So no surprise to see that AC Milan are literally just walking towards the end of the season. Now, in more exciting news, Ademola Lookman's Atalanta, they are now 5th in the table. Literally 4 points behind Bologna. If they win their game in hand, they will just be 1 point behind Bologna. But more impressively, Italy gets 5 spots in the Champions League, and now they are in 5th place. So it's very, very likely that Atalanta will make the Champions League. Before their game this Monday, which they played against Salernitana, and Lookman started as they won 2-1. If you've not watched this player, please go and watch Tino Cup Miners. This Dutch midfielder, he scored so many incredible goals this season for Atalanta. And his latest one, which was the winner on Monday, was another cracker. But we also saw Ademola Lookman play 31 minutes in the Europa League semi-final for Atalanta against Marseille. It ended 1-1. And the next game will be the second leg in Atalanta this Thursday, with Atalanta having a chance to qualify for their first ever European final, which will be a big achievement. And to make it even better, on Sunday, we see Atalanta, who are 5th, level on points with Roma, who are 6th, both on 54 points, although Atalanta have a game in hand, play against each other. So Atalanta will host Roma at home, and if they win that game, they pretty much confirm their spot in the Champions League. So really big games to look forward to for Ademola Lookman. Torino's David Okereke was on the bench for the 0-0 draw against Bologna on Friday. It's not looking good for him. He's not starting games, and he will probably go back to Cremonese or where he left to go on loan to Torino. And then Chukwuemeka Mkwemesi, he played 60 minutes as Salernitana lost that game 2-1 against Atalanta. To be fair to him, he did look lively. I watched the game and he did look quite impressive at certain moments. But when you're playing for the worst team in Serie A, we can't exactly say that you're a talented player, considering you haven't scored a goal in God knows how many games. So yeah, that's it in terms of Serie A for now. In the Bundesliga, Victor Boniface was benched in Leverkusen's 2-0 win over Roma in the other Europa League semi-final on Thursday. Nathan Teller came off the bench to play for 13 minutes, but this was a very impressive performance by Leverkusen. 2-0 at Stadio Olimpico against Roma. Like, they've got a comfy 2-0 lead. They're yet to lose a game this season, unbeaten in the league with just 2 games to go, or it might even be 1 game to go. Let me triple check that for you. I'm pretty sure, yeah, 2 games to go. In the Europa League, they're yet to lose a game, and they're pretty much playing a second leg at home with a 2-0 lead, and they will be playing Kaiserslautern in the German Cup final, who are in the 2nd division. So let's just give Leverkusen all 3 trophies at this point in time, although I do think if they play Atalanta in the final, it will be a very tricky game. If Leverkusen play Marseille in the final, I think they'll beat them and dispatch them easily, but let's see. The good news also for Leverkusen over the weekend, Victor Boniface won a penalty. He came off the bench, played 29 minutes, and he put the ball through this defender's toros, got into the box, passed the ball to Jeremy Frimpong, who got clipped, and of course Victor Boniface stepped up to take the penalty to make it 5-1 for Bayer Leverkusen. Nathan Teller also started the game, and he's looking very good. I must say that the next Super Eagles game, I will not be surprised if Nathan Teller starts on the right wing over Chukwueze, although Chukwueze has been playing well. More importantly, I am happy that we now have 2 very good options playing for top teams, one for Bayer Leverkusen, one for AC Milan on our right wing. So I expect to see Teller and Chukwueze called up for the Super Eagles for the foreseeable future on that right wing of the flank. So positive news. Anyway, let's see how Bayer Leverkusen get on in the semi-final 2nd leg and how they get on against Bochum away on Sunday as they try to keep their unbeaten record in place, which would be one hell of an achievement. For Hoffenheim, there is good news. Kevin Akpoguma finally started a game. He played 90 minutes in Hoffenheim's 1-1 draw against Leipzig on Friday. Let's see if he continues to start when they play Darmstadt away on Sunday. Moving on to La Liga, and the sole Super Eagles representative Omar Sadiq was benched in Real Sociedad's 2-0 victory over Las Palmas on Saturday. Next up for Real Sociedad, they play Barcelona away on Monday. So let's see if Sadiq could get some minutes. And then finally in the top 5 leagues, Terem Murphy and Nice were not in action this weekend. Next up for them, they play Le Havre on Friday. As for Lyon, Gift Urban was benched yesterday as Lyon beat Lille 4-3 away in what was an epic game. So shout out to Lyon, although it would be nice to see Gift Urban play some minutes. Akko Adams and Montpellier, he played 68 minutes in their 2-1 win over Toulouse on Friday. And their next game is at home against Monaco this Sunday. So let's see how they get on. And every other Nigerian player is injured in League One. And specifically, I'm talking about NSM Bonke and Moses Simon, who are both out for the rest of the season. Moving quickly to the Primeira Portuguese League. Bruno Yemachi was not in the squad while Chidozie Awaziem was suspended for Boa Vista's 1-1 draw against Gil Vicente on Saturday. Next up for them, they play Mighty Porto away on Sunday. which will not be an easy game. Kelechi Nwakali was also in action for Chavez in their 3-0 loss to Porto this weekend. Next up for them, they'll play Famalicão at home on Friday. But as I've said in previous episodes, it's likely that they will indeed be relegated from the Portuguese First Division. Moving on to Belgium, and we saw Rafael Onyedika come back from his suspension. He started against Fiorentina on Thursday in the Europa Conference League semi-final. However, he did get sent off in the 61st minute for 2 yellow card offences. To be fair, he can have no excuse. The second yellow card is just like Onyedika. We've been praising you so much. I don't know if it's curse of the podcast host, but you should go see the tackle. It's very fucking stupid. I'm sorry. And subsequently, they equalized to make it 2-2 after they got the red card. But then in the last minute of the game, Fiorentina scored to make it 3-2. The good thing is, all hope is not lost. Club Brugge lost 3-2 and they'll be playing the second leg at home. So they have every chance of making it to Europa League final when they play Fiorentina in the second leg on Thursday. However, in the league, we saw Club Brugge continue their winning streak. They're now top of the league. They beat Royal Antwerp 2-1 on Sunday, with Onyedika playing all 90 minutes and also putting in a very good performance. Next up in the league for them, they play Union Saint-Gilloise next week, Monday. As for Royal Antwerp, in that game that they lost to Club Brugge 2-1, Chira Ejike played 90 minutes. Alassane Yusuf played 20 minutes coming off the bench, while Victor Udo was benched in that game. Next up for them, though, they play Union Saint-Gilloise on Thursday in the league, and then they have another fixture against Cercle Bruges at home on Sunday. Speaking of Genk, Tolu Arokodare played 80 minutes in Genk's 4-1 loss to Cercle Bruges on Saturday, while Yerasor was not in the squad. Next game for Tolu Arokodare and Genk, they play Anderlecht away on Saturday. And then finally, in Belgium, Jordan Torunariga played 90 minutes for Ghent as they beat KV Mechelen 4-2 on Saturday. And he would also likely be in action when they play OH Leuven away on Sunday. Moving on to the Turkish League, and we saw Bright Osay Samuel play 52 minutes as Fenerbahce drew 0-0 against Konyaspor on Monday. It pretty much means that their chances of usurping Galatasaray for the Turkish League title are up in flames, and Galatasaray should likely win the title now. Next up for Fenerbahce, as they look to consolidate second place, which will get them into the Champions League, they play Kayserispor at home on Sunday. Moving on to Polonaracu and Trabzonspor, who are currently in third place. Polonaracu started and played 71 minutes in their 3-1 loss to Samsunspor on Saturday. Next up for Trabzonspor, they play Karahumruk away on Wednesday in the Turkish Cup semi-final second leg. Trabzonspor have a 3-2 lead, so they should see this one through. And then they play Istanbulspor at home on Sunday. Fisaya Delebashiru, who plays for Hatayspor, on the other hand, he played all 90 minutes in their 1-1 draw against Gaziantep. Hatayspor is still in danger of getting relegated as the 18th. Let's see if he plays against Ankara-Gucu at home on Sunday, as they desperately need to win to stay in the first division. And then finally, Kenneth Omeru was benched for the second game in a row as Kashim Pasha lost 4-1 to Istanbul Başakşehir on Sunday. I mean, if a centre-back is benched and you lose 4-1, you would like to think that in the next game on Sunday against Antalyaspor, we'll see Kenneth Omeru get some minutes. So that's it for Turkey. Moving on to the Scottish League, and we saw Cyril Dessers play 90 minutes, while Leon Balogun played 45 minutes as Rangers beat Kilmarnock on Sunday. Next up for them is the Old Firm derby on Saturday as Rangers play Celtic away. But it's likely that if Celtic win this game, it will be a wrap for the Scottish League title. Moving on to the final two leagues, and in the PSL in South Africa, Stanley Nwabali was on the bench as Chippa United lost 2-1 to Moroka Swallows in the Nedbank Cup. However, on the weekend, he did play 90 minutes and made 3 saves as they lost 3-1 to Orlando Pirates on Saturday. Next up for Chippa United, they play Orlando Pirates away on Wednesday, and then they play Lamontville Golden Arrows away on Sunday. As for Orlando Pirates, Olisanda is still injured, so we'll keep you updated on if and when he comes back while the season is still going on. And then finally, in the Czech Republic, we saw Slavia Prague's Igor Ugbo, who I believe should be called up as a centre-back for the national team, play 90 minutes while Mohamed Tijani came on for 16 minutes as Slavia Prague beat Banik Ostrava 5-0. Next up for them, they play Sparta Prague away on Saturday. Speaking of Sparta Prague, Victor Olatunji did play the final 14 minutes in their 4-2 win over Slovako on Sunday. So let's see if he gets any minutes in their game against Slavia Prague on Saturday. So that's it in terms of updates on Nigerian players in Europe for this week. In terms of Starboy of the Week, there's not been any clear standout for me, so I will say it's going to be shared this week. Samuel Chukwueze for getting an assist and playing well and starting the game for AC Milan. Even though the game ended 3-3, he put in a very, very impressive performance. I think his score rating was above 8. Victor Boniface coming off the bench to help win the penalty and dispatch the penalty in Leverkusen's 5-1 win over the weekend. And then also I have to call Victor Osimhen and Isaac Success, both for scoring the goals for their respective sides, Napoli and Udinese, in the 1-1 draw which we watched yesterday. So in terms of Nigerian news to round up the podcast, we still don't know who's going to be part of Finidi George coaching staff. And at the moment, he's still the coach of Enyimba, so look out for updates. I'm not really sure what the NFF is doing with that one, but are we really surprised? Not really. And just to round up the podcast, the ones to watch for this week, remember we've got the Europa League semi-finals on Thursday. Atalanta playing Marseille on Thursday. Let's see if Lookman starts the game and could help Atalanta make the Europa League final. Nathan Teller and Victor Boniface, Leverkusen play Roma in the second leg on Thursday of the Europa League semi-final. They will definitely make the final. We also see Rafael Edika is suspended, so he's not going to play. Moving on to the weekend, and in the Premier League, we will see Olajuwon and Taiwo Awoniyi in action against Chelsea, so look out for that. I'm particularly looking forward to seeing Awoniyi get some minutes, and let's see if he could end the season strongly to get a call-up for the World Cup qualifiers. Calvin Bassey and Alex Iwobi's Fulham play Man City. Yes, Fulham don't have much to play for, but they're still protagonists in the title race. So let's see if they could do Arsenal a favour. Alex Iwobi, ex-Arsenal, please. That would be nice. And then Gabriel Osho is in action for Luton against West Ham on Saturday. We'll also see Elijah Adebayo play in that game, and we know Elijah Adebayo wants to play for Nigeria too. On Saturday, it's also the Old Firm game, as I said. So let's see if Cyril Dessers and Leon Balogun could get a win for Rangers against Celtic on Saturday. And then we've got Igor Ugbo playing again. Igor Ugbo and Victor Udo as well. And Mohamed Tijani playing for Slavia Prague against Sparta Prague on Saturday, with Victor Lachdi playing for Sparta Prague. On Sunday, we've got the playoffs in the championship. So we'll see Semi Ajayi and Josh Maja's West Brom play against Joaribo Southampton on Sunday. Very, very, very big game. And then also we'll see Ademola Lookman play for Atalanta against Roma on Sunday, which is a straight head-to-head for a Champions League spot between 5th and 6th in Serie A. And then on Monday, let's see if Omar Sadiq can play for Real Sociedad as they take on Barcelona in La Liga. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks again for rocking with me. Lots of games to look forward to, particularly in the semi-finals of the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Europa Conference League. We will have a better idea of how the season is going to end in terms of the finals. Also, it's the penultimate game or the final game of a lot of seasons. So, the season is getting to the crescendo part of the season, which is very, very exciting. I know there's no Arsenal player who's Nigerian, but for me personally, I'm still excited and hoping that City could drop points somewhere. Please remember, we're at Nigeria Football Weekly on every social media platform except on Twitter, where we are at NFWPOD. Thanks again for rocking with me. We appreciate every single listener and enjoy all the football over the next 7 days. Take care, peace out, and looking forward to all the football that we have to watch. Take care, guys. Bye. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below.